Good morning everyone. Respected Dr. C.R. Kokre sir, Vice Principal, Sinhgad Institute of Pharmacy, Pune. Respected Resource Person, Dr. Anil Pethe sir and Dr. Amol Tagalpallevar sir and all the participants. I, Ms. Trupti Tated, welcome you all for this session 1 of 3 days webinar series on advances in pharmaceutical research organized by Sinhgad Institute of Pharmacy, Pune. Now I request Amruta Khurd ma'am to introduce our today's resource person, Dr. Anil Pethe sir. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Trupti. Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Amruta Khurd and I work as Assistant Professor in Sinhgad Institute of Pharmacy. I'm pleased to welcome and introduce our speaker for today, Dr. Anil Pethe, who holds a PhD in pharmaceutics and has a vast teaching experience of more than 25 years. He has 30 national and international publications to his credit. He has authored 2 books and 4 book chapters. He has 3 patents to his credit and have filed 5 more. He has delivered 50 international and national technical presentations. He has attended 15 conferences, workshops, and seminars. He has guided 60 MPharm students, and currently 1 student is pursuing PhD under him. He has reputed 18 awards to his credit. His professional memberships include: first, he is an executive committee member, Controlled Release Society, Indian chapter for term 2019 to 2021. He has served as Vice President, Association of Pharmaceutical Teachers of India, APTI, Maharashtra State from 2013 to 2016. He is a life member of Society of Biomaterials and Artificial Organs, India, life member of APTI and Indian Pharmaceutical Association, IPA. He is serving as a president and life member of IPER Alumni Association, IPER Wardha. His areas of interest include NDDS, natural polymers, nanocrystalline cellulose, bio-waste, conversion. And currently, Sir is working as Associate Dean, School of Pharmacy and Technology Management, NMI MS, Hyderabad campus, Hyderabad. Today, Sir will be delivering webinar on emerging technologies or advances in healthcare. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Over to you, Pethe, sir.
Thank you, Amruta ma'am, for wonderful introduction. Very good morning to all the participants across the country. From the organizer, I came to know that almost 2,000 participants are attending this live webinar via YouTube. So, congratulations to organizer for organizing such a mega event. Let me first say thanks to Dr. KG Bothra sir, the convener of this particular event and the principal of Sinhgad Institute of Pharmacy. I learned so many things from Bothra sir when he was my boss at Shirpur campus. I'm also thankful to Kokre sir, thankful to Dr. Amol Tagalpallevar, Dr. Vandana ma'am, then Miss Trupti ma'am and Pratibha Auti for inviting me to deliver a talk on this webinar series. Today I'm going to talk about the emerging technologies in healthcare. So my title is like something catchy: emerging technologies in healthcare. Yeah, as I already mentioned in the teaser, that change is the only constant thing in the world, and we need to anticipate those changes so that we can face the future challenges. Before to start with my presentation, I am having this is the legal formality, that is the disclaimer. The presentation is based on publicly available information. The views presented are the views of the presenter, not necessarily to the author's employers organization. These slides are intended purely for educational purpose and for the personal use of the audience. The content of the slide deck is accurate to the best of the presenter's knowledge at the time of production of this PPT. Yeah. So as I was mentioning about the changes, those happened, and we witnessed so many changes. This is one of my favorite slide, where we can see the changes those happened in the 19th century, 20th century. You can see the first. This is the generation and the future computers. In the first picture, you can see that this particular picture where the computer was a big room size. The volume of that computer was like a big room, and this was in the year 1949 when it was first time patented, and then later on the technological changes, the upgradation was happened, and this is the second slide where you can see it is the tabletop version of the computer. Next, this computer, few of us might have seen this computer. Then this is the next one. This is I guess that everybody might be having this particular computer, and nowadays we are using the computer where even though CPU is not there. In future, even those devices may not require, only the rays will be there, and it will the monitor and screen will be automatically available. So that like maybe within a course of time we may observe those changes. So this is about the generation and the future of computers. Now, as I told you that change is the only constant thing in the world. So this is one example, uh, like how the changes happen and how you have to keep yourself upgraded with the changes in the technology. This is the first example, the very general example I am giving of the mobile handset. This was the mobile handset model which was available in the year 1999. That time when I was in the college, like few of our classmates, I think only one or two, they were having this mobile handset, Motorola, and the AT&T network was there. But then after 10 years, exactly after 10 years, 2009, this Motorola was not the topmost brand in the market, and the space was occupied by the Nokia and BlackBerry. They were the toppers in the handset segment, mobile handset segment. Now, if you see the today's scenario, that is in 2019, this Nokia, BlackBerry, the space is occupied by the Apple and the Samsung. They are the market leaders. Now, this is though even the Nokia is there, but they are not the market leaders. So this is very important that you need to anticipate the change, and you have to act accordingly. You have to plan your strategies like that so that you should face the challenges. And today the Apple, we can say, is the leader, and Samsung is the leader, but then in 1999 this Apple was really struggling. So this is very good example like how the technological changes happened and how we have to cope up with all those technological changes. This is very important slide that this is the top 10 pharmaceutical products by sales worldwide in million US dollar. So this is, you can see that this slide is divided into two parts. Here the products which were there in the market in 2009, the top selling product, and this is the top selling product in 2019. In 2009, the Lipita was the largest selling drug. We can say it was the blockbuster drug from the Pfizer. Then Nexium, Plavix, Adavir, Seroquel, Singulair, Embrel, Lactose, Prevacid, Neulasta. All these are the top selling product in the market. Today, if you see the scenario, it has totally changed. Now the Humira, that is the TNA blocker for rheumatoid arthritis, it is the top selling product. then followed by Eliquis, Revlimid, Opadio, Keytruda, Imbrel, Herceptin, Avastin, Rituxan, like that. Now I have indicated some color changes in this slide. Like here you can see out of the 10 drugs, out of the top 10 brands, 2 are indicated with different color. Why this different color I have indicated? It is very simple that only 2 drugs were from the biological origin. This one and this one. Only 2 drugs were from the biological origin and 8 drugs were from the chemical origin. And today, if you see in 2019, the scenario is exactly opposite. There are only 2 drugs which are of the chemical origin, and there are 8 drugs which are from the biological origin. Biological origin means the products which are derived from the biotechnology. And if you see that 2009 to 2019, this major shift is there where we have shifted from the chemical to that of the biological product. It means that we have to focus, like maybe after 10 years down the line, the more biosimilars will be there in the market, and we have to think, though we are the largest manufacturer as far as the generic drugs are concerned, but then we need to change our strategy, and I think we have to move to the biosimilar. Already, like a few pharmaceutical industry, they have their focus on this biosimilar. So this is very important change. And one more change I want to bring to your notice. Like in this list of the top 10 drugs, only 2 drugs, they were uh, uh, only 2 drugs useful for the cancer treatment. And in this list, you can see that there are 6 drugs which are useful for the cancer treatment. It means that now the 60% drugs, top selling drugs, they are from the cancer origin. So every time you need to change your strategy, you have to think what is the requirement of the market, and accordingly you have to work. So this is very important slide, I think so. Now, this one wonderful slide I got from the internet, the 30 technologies of the next decade. That this is the future, and this will be the future. If you observe all these top 30 technologies, the AI, the IoT, the mobile social internet, blockchain, big data, automation, robots, immersive media, mobile technologies, cloud computing, 3D printing, 12CX, energy tech, cyber security, voice assistant, nanotechnology, collaborative technology, health technology, human computer interaction, geospatial tech, advanced material, new touch interface, wireless power, clean technology, quantum computing, smart cities, edge computing, faster, better internet, proximity tech, new screen. Dear friends, 2 months before that, we are not aware with the technology that what we are using today. I think this was happened because of the disruption due to COVID-19, and we are like, instead of online, instead of the lecture in the campus, we are on the online mode. And this is one of the technologies that you can see, the number 3, the social internet, the messaging, live streaming, and we are using that technology. So maybe like we never know like what will be the future, which technology that we'll be using. So these are the very important technology, and out of this 30 technology, I'm damn sure 10 different technologies are there which are going to change the healthcare sector. Of course, the artificial intelligence, internet of things, then blockchain, even this live streaming, the robotics, the 3D printing, the nanotechnology. Of course, many of us are doing research in nanotechnology. Then health technology, human computer interaction, this is also very important, where yeah, you can go ahead with the tracking, the cloud computing. So I'm going to discuss all those changes one by one, but before that, this is one important slide, that is the top 10 new medical technologies of 2019. What were the hot technologies of the 2019? So I have I have indicated all those technologies in reverse order: the smart inhaler, the robotic surgery, the wireless brain sensors, the 3D printing, the artificial organs, the health wearables, precision medicine, virtual reality, telehealth, and last one is the gene editing. So we'll see one by one. Smart inhalers. We know that inhalers is one of the dosage forms that we are using for administration of the drug, and mainly for the COPD and asthma we are using this. The 94 the research shows that 90% of the patients don't use inhalers properly, like how they are pressing the actuators. Depending upon that, the dose administration is achieved. And if they are not achieving it properly, if that activation is not proper, in that case the dose administration is improper. So in this case, like Bluetooth technology, this Bluetooth was introduced into the market. This technology was there in the market in 2000, and now this Bluetooth enabled smart inhalers are available in the market. The US FDA approved the Teva for the Pro Air Digihaler containing the drug albuterol sulfate in US market, and it was approved by the US FDA. There are other companies which are there in the market which are working on the smart inhaler technology, that 3M, Adderall, Coerto, etc., etc. So this inhaler, that whenever the person is inhaling the medicine, automatically it is recorded that how much amount of dose has been administered. Then it will also give the indication that when the next dose the patient has to administer. So this is really smart in nature. So this is the first, I can say, the first hot technology in 2019, robotic surgery. We know that the robots are playing important role in defense. Robots are useful in agriculture. The robots are useful in several other fields, and of course, the healthcare is not the exception. Even the pharmaceutical industry, they are also trying to use the robots. But then in medical, the robotic surgery, this is very important, that robotic surgery, that several hospitals they are performing the robotic surgery. And you will surprised to know that even in our country, in the year 2006 only, the first robotic surgery was performed at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So even we are marching towards the robotic surgery, and here the surgeon, he has to equip himself or herself with the technological knowledge. It is not only the surgery knowledge will be helpful to the surgeon. So this is very important slide, that the Gujarat doctor makes history and performs world's first robotic heart surgery 30 kilometer away from the patient. The doctor, Mr. Patel, who was sitting at the Akshardham hospital at Gandhinagar, he performed the surgery of the patient who was there in the Apex Heart Institute at Ahmedabad. So distance between Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar is almost 30 kilometers. So you can see this doctor is operating the instrument by which he is guiding the robot how to perform this surgery, and it was happening just last year only, that is December 2018, uh, before to last year. So again we can say that this particular sector is going to make a big impact on the healthcare. Wireless brain sensors, especially the patients who are suffering from the neurodegenerative disorders. For those patients, the implants are there, the brain sensors are there, and those brain sensors or brain implant, the surgeon has to implant, and then after particular time he has to withdraw those implants. So what is the role of those implants? Those implants are giving the information about the cranial pressure, cranial temperature, and all other parameters related to the brain. But like you have to perform surgery twice, at the time of implantation and again at the time of explantation. So here, like because of the development in the plastic science, the scientist of the University of Illinois and neurosurgeon from the Washington University of School of Medicine, they tried to develop the wireless brain sensor, and they use the polylactic co-glycolic acid, like our PLGA, we all Sotix person are using that, and the silicone. And the study, they found that the study was very nice as far as all the parameters are concerned, and there is no need to withdraw the withdraw the explant. So this is sorry, withdraw the implant. So this is the bioreabsorbable electronics that has taken place. So this is again a very important innovation, I can say. Of course, 3D printing. This 3D printing, it is useful in varieties of the operations. Even 2 years before, I read one news where China, that within 48 hours they could build one big story building, I think 3 or 4 story building, by using the 3D printing technology. So the work that needs maybe 3 months, 4 months, 6 months can be performed within a few days only. So this is the impact of the 3D printing, and everywhere this 3D printing is making the impact, and our pharmaceutical sector is not the exception to that. The first 3D printed drug was approved by the US FDA to the Aprecia Pharmaceutical, and Spritum was the name of the drug, and which was used for the treatment of the epilepsy. Here, if you can see that I am having one 3D model. Here you can see that this is myself and two of my friends, that we printed this 3D model, this 3D printed photograph at Villeparle. So this is like the 3D printing. Like you can use this 3D printing, and as far as the making the tablets are concerned, or maybe you can think about any other dosage form. So what is the advantage of using this 3D printed drug for making the tablet, 3D printing for making the tablet? It is very simple. Like you don't need all those machineries, you don't need dry granulation, wet granulation. Only that ink you have to put in the 3D printer, and printer will print the tablets for you. This is the advanced version of the 3D printing called as the bioprinting. So this is also an emerging technology, bioprinting, where the persons or the patients who don't have some organs, in that case those organs can be replaced by means of the artificial organs. So obviously this is going to make a big impact as far as the life-saving transplants are concerned, because you have to wait for the donors whenever you are going for any organ transplantation. If this bioprinting, and this is taking a lead in the scientific, in the medical field, the bioprinting. This is very important. You can see the picture, the structure of the 3D printed heart, then 3D printed ear, nose. Next one is the health wearables. I'm having less time and I have to pass on the maximum information, so I am moving fast. Next is the health wearables. Yeah, of course, this is called as the IoT, Internet of Things. Now, as far as the health wearables are concerned, uh, the people who are above 40 years of age, or maybe early 50 or early 60, like that, they are very much cautious as far as their health is concerned, and they are using the apps which are provided in their maybe the Samsung phone or the Apple phone, where you can track your daily consumption of energy and other things. And this is the similar innovations were brought by the Apple when they launched in 2018 the Apple Series 4 watch. Might be few of you will be aware with this. A few of you might be aware with this. And this watch, what is the use of this watch? Like you can see that this watch is recording the ECG. So you don't have to go to hospital. The ECG will be available to you with your wrist. So you can easily track your ECG. And especially this is helpful for the patient who is suffering from the cardiac problem. So by just observing the ECG, he will come to know that there is something wrong, and he can easily reach to hospital. So this is very important. I can say the innovation. This is the second this is the second innovation in the second picture. You can see where the person is wearing that wearable, where he can measure all the parameters related to the brain, all the cranial pressure, temperature, like that. So this is very important innovation. Those are there in the market, and already those innovations are there in the market. Many IT company, they are working in this area. This is very useful. Like, we know that we are the diabetic capital of the world, and type 1 diabetes, again this type 1 diabetes, like, so many people are suffering from the type 1 diabetes. And if you ask the type 1 diabetic patient how painful is, like, every day he has to administer maybe 3 to 4 injections, 2 3 4 injections, depending upon the requirement. So in this case, that this hybrid closed loop insulin delivery system, where the patient has to wear that device, and it is also referred as the artificial pancreas, and this particular device is controlling that whenever the requirement of the sugar is there, the whenever the requirement of insulin is there, it will be secreted from these devices, it will be released from these devices. So this is again very important health variable, I think so. Precision medicine, that one line of treatment or one medicine in one particular illness may not be enough for all patients. So you have to go with the personalized medicine. And for the personalized medicine, like especially the cancer treatment, like these are the number of patient, or this is the patient group. You need to segregate those patients depending upon the DNA sequencing. Like here, the uh, in a representative picture, you can see it is categorized into three different types on the basis of DNA. And then treatment A is for the first group, treatment B for the second group, and treatment C for the third group. So this is again the important sector that is coming up, that is the precision medicine, like personalized medicine. We can say it is the personalized medicine. Virtual reality, yeah, this virtual reality devices, like many of you might be using all those games, PUBG and other games, where it is not the actual reality, it is the virtual reality. And so many students, they have committed suicide because of using those mobile apps. So it is now, this is the other side of those devices. But then you can also see the better side of those devices, how those devices are useful as far as the health sector is concerned. So instead of the body, like dead bodies in the hospital, these virtual devices can give you the experience of learning the human anatomy. Then this virtual reality devices will help the uh, doctors who are taking the training how to perform the surgery. So on work, by using those virtual devices, they can perform the surgeries. So this is for the training part, excellent one. Apart from that, those are apart from that, the patients who are suffering from the neurodegenerative disorders, even these virtual reality devices may be useful to them. And even there is some research that already those devices are in use. Now the sector which is on number 2 is the telehealth. Now, as far as the telehealth is concerned, you don't need to visit the doctor. Like in our country, if you are going to doctor, you are sitting in a waiting room maybe for 2 hours, 3 hours, like that. You have to take the appointment, and even after that, now you just imagine for the pregnant ladies or for the critically ill patients, it is very difficult to wait for several hours. So in that case, if we can use this particular interface. Now I am delivering the lecture by means of the e-face, similar type of thing, where I can't see my audience and I can't see their responses. But then here you can have one-to-one interaction with the patient. where the doctor is sitting at the other end and the patient is on the other side of that. So this is again very important, and this market was expected to reach, telemedicine market was expected to reach 113 billion by 2025. And just see the scenario of the telehealth in India. This is very fast emerging sector in India, especially a country like us, where even to the rural population, that the health is a distant dream. There are no hospitals. There are PSCs, but then those PSCs are not having doctors. So in that case, but one thing I'm sure that every small village, they are having good phones nowadays. They are having the internet connection. They are connected to the social media. So why can't take this advantage in the tele health sector? And especially now, considering this COVID-19 crisis, this is emerging to be a large sector. And when it was advised by the our prime minister that not to visit the OPDs, you have to postpone your some minor operations like that. And in this case, I think this telehealth and so many startups, they are coming within 1 2 months only. There are 7 8 new startups have come up, who are who are making these apps for the telehealth. There are so many apps available. You can just Google it and you will get the ample information about the telehealth in India. Yeah, the topmost sector, that is the clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. This is also called as the advanced gene editing technology. And it works by harnessing the natural mechanism of the immune system of the bacterial cells of invading viruses, which is then able to cut off infected DNA strand. Or in a simple language, we can say that it is the removal of the defected DNA and replacing with the new DNA strand. We can see this next slide, that this is DNA editing. Here you can see in the first slide, this is your biology, this is your cell having the nucleus and chromosome. And for this you need a guide molecule, the healthy DNA copy, and DNA cutting enzyme. So a specially designed synthetic guide molecules find the target DNA strand. So this is the guide molecule, and this molecule will first find out where that defected gene is there. And then with the help of that DNA cutting enzyme, that defective gene can be chopped off and it is replaced with the healthy DNA strand. So this is the advanced gene editing technology, and it was at the top one position in 2019. So this is the scenario of 2019. Now I thought, like, we are already entered into the 2020, and this is the month of May. So we have to also see that what are the technology trends in healthcare that will shape the industry in 2020 and beyond that. And especially after COVID, a lot of changes is going to happen. These are the top 7 trends as far as healthcare technology trends in 2020. The first spot is taken. The first spot is occupied by the telehealth. The second one is by the health wearable. Third one is the cloud. Fourth one is the blockchain. Fifth is the artificial intelligence. Sixth is the virtual reality. And seventh is the data analytics. Telehealth, health wearables, cloud, blockchain, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and data analytics. So this blue color already we have covered. This red color that we have not covered: the cloud, blockchain, artificial intelligence, data analytics. So in short, we have to see what are those technologies that are going to that are trending in this year 2020 and beyond that. So the first one is the cloud computing. So this is on-demand availability of the computer system resources, especially the data storage and computing power without direct active management by the user. So in a simple language, that you are hiring these computer services from third party. This is the simple definition of the cloud computing. You don't have to maintain anything in your hospital. You don't have to maintain anything, maybe in your pharmaceutical premises. You can hire the services of the third person, third party, and they are storing whatever the information, whatever data is there. They are storing that data, and whenever the demand is there, you can ask their services. So the two advantages with that, the first one is, the first impact is, it is lowering the cost. Like, you don't have to maintain all these computers or these servers, and you don't have to pay to the IT people. So here you can concentrate more on the hospital or the pharmaceutical related job instead of the IT job. The second one is the ease of interoperability. Sorry, just a minute. The ease of the operations. Now, as far as the ease of operations is concerned, like, as the data is with the server, with the third party, it can be shared amongst all the healthcare industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the insurance industry. So that sharing of the data, and by that way, like, if at my hospital, if I want any services, any information, that can be provided from the server only. So this is the cloud computing, and it is going to impact healthcare like anything. Now, this is one more technology, blockchain. You might have heard the word Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. It was there in the market, I think, in 2008, and when first time it was launched, this currency was the price of this currency, the value of this currency was just 40 paisa. 40 paisa. So today, if you see, the cost of the Bitcoin is around 6,96,000 Indian rupees, maybe approximately 7 lakhs rupees is the cost of Bitcoin. So it means, suppose if you have invested in Bitcoin in 2008, you could have made it like 7,000 rupees today. So this is the impact of this blockchain technology, and especially Supreme Court has withdrawn the ban on the using the Bitcoin and all those cryptocurrency. So this cryptocurrency, apart from the dark side of that cryptocurrency, we have to see the fair side of that cryptocurrency, or the this technology. The Bitcoin is based on the blockchain technology. So how it is useful as far as the healthcare industry is concerned. Now, as far as the healthcare industry, but before that, we need to understand what is this Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is basically a simple yet ingenious way of passing information from A to B in a fully automated and safe manner. Fully automated and safe manner. The best part of this Bitcoin technology is that it is the safest one. That one party to a transaction initiate the process by creating a block. That for one transaction it is called as one block, and this block, whenever this block is created, it is verified by thousands, perhaps it is the millions of computers distributed around the net, and then this one block is then added into the chain. We can see the second slide, where it will be very much clear to you that this is the Bitcoin. This is someone request a transaction, like whatever transaction we are doing in bank, they are storing this transaction into the ledger system. So whenever this transaction will happen, where is my cursor? Yeah. So whenever this transaction happened in normal process of banking, now you just this is stored in ledger, but when it happened in case of the Bitcoin network, or the sorry, in case of the blockchain technology, here this transaction is verified by millions of computers, and a code is generated having the 24 digit, like that code is having 24 alphabets, and then that code is converted into one block. That particular transaction is then converted into one block, and this is one block. That transaction is generated, and this block is entered into the chain, and this is called as the blockchain. And when this blockchain is entering, then this process is complete. That is called as the blockchain technology. Now, if someone wants to hack this system, it is practically impossible, because he has to crack the entire system. He has to crack the entire that blockchain network only, that chain only. Then only you can separate out that block. Now, where this can be useful, of course, this is useful in case of the data. As far as the health data is concerned, like that data, security of the health data, the patient data is a big concern. And there are so many companies, they are sometimes selling the data to maybe other companies or something. The data leakage, that is the problem. But by using this blockchain technology, that data can be secured. And this is the name of one country, that is Estonia. They started using the blockchain technology in 2012 only to secure healthcare data and process the transaction. Now all the countries' healthcare billing is handled on a blockchain. 95% of the health information is ledger based, and 99% of all prescription information is digital. Now this is everywhere, we are hearing about the data analytics. And of course, this is the biggest sector that is going to impact the healthcare. Already it has started impacting the healthcare. Suppose if I ask you, like, how many patients are there today with the COVID, so immediately you can start the television and you can tell me, yes, there are more than 60,000 patients in India. But what about the globe? What about the world? How many patients are there? So again, you have to start the television and you have to tell me, okay, there are more than 14, 15 lakh patients are there. But how you will get that information? Of course, it is the data science. They are collecting the data. And if I'm asking you that how many patients are there in Telangana, how many patients are there in uh, Andhra Pradesh, how many patients are there in Maharashtra, UP, Gujarat. So all that information, then district wise information, then information again, the like males, females, below 50, above 50, below 40, above 40, like that. The data is segregated, and this is the importance of that data. And because of that data analytics only, that government has declared the lockdown. The reason was, suppose the data analytics scientists, they predicted that the way in which the information is spreading, that maybe within 1 or 2 months India could reach maybe more than 50 lakhs patients. That was the analysis of the data science, data scientist. And on that basis, then government has decided to go for the lockdown. So this is very important. And by the year 2020, about 1.7 megabytes of new information will be created every second for every human being on the planet, which make it extremely important to know the basics of this field at least. Two things are there. One is big data, and second one is the data analytics. Big data, it may be structured as well as unstructured data, like whatever the information that you are collecting, that you can say the data. And whenever you are doing the analysis of that data, it is the data analytics. In a very simple language, analysis of data, like if you are segregating that data on the basis of number of patient, male, female, on the basis of maybe the age, on the basis of the country which they belongs, then you can segregate that data. This is the data analytics. Data analytics in healthcare, obviously it is going to make a big impact, that all pharmaceutical companies, all healthcare companies, they started recruiting the people with the background of the data analytics. And like our university, like we started providing this data analytics uh, to the students maybe 5 years before only. And the students who are having this course, added course of data analytics, they are having higher demand in the market. So it means that, of course, there is a demand for the data scientist. And if the person with having pharmacy or medical background, if they can go ahead with this data science additional degree, additional course, obviously they are going to get benefited with that. This is just an example, that this was the this is the this particular table is predict this particular table It was having the data for all the states of our country, like where the actual number of patients, how many patients are cured, how many deaths are there, uh, then how many patients are there in 10 million population, like that. So this is the data science, or you can say the data analytics. Now there are so many data analytics they have predicted. So this is one data analytics scientist like post I am having here, where he predicted that this was predicted on 1st of April, and he said that there will be more than 13,000 patients and 412 deaths will be there on 1st of May. So on 1st April only, when lockdown was announced, he predicted that this many number of patients will be there in the country. Now we have heard a lot about the artificial intelligence in healthcare. Of course, that AI, everywhere we are hearing AI, and most of the companies like IBM and Google, they are entering into the healthcare sector. Now the job is not restricted only to the pharma companies or the pharma graduate, but even to the IT companies. They are recruiting the pharma graduate in the area of uh, artificial intelligence, big data, etc. So here there are few pictures like what is this artificial intelligence, and all the intelligent people they are using this artificial intelligence. So what is this artificial intelligence? It is nothing but the help of the machine, the help of software that you are taking for performing any function or for predicting anything. So here you can see, here one picture is there of X-ray. Generally we are taking X-ray. That X-ray will predict you, okay, which whether your bones are in good condition or not. But this is AI enabled X-ray, where just by taking the X-ray, it will tell the age of the patient. It will also tell the sex of the patient. So just see that just on the basis of bone density, bone length, and by using that algorithm, it is predicting that what is the age of the patient, and the accuracy. If you see the accuracy, it is very nice. In the another picture, you can see the pictures of the cornea. So just by taking the pictures of the cornea, like the AI, if it is AI enabled software, that AI software will inform the patient that whether in future the patient will develop any problem, any cancer, corneal cancer or not, sorry, retinal cancer or not. That can be predicted by taking the pictures only. So this is the impact of the. These are only two examples. There are n number of examples. Log in to any website, and you will get the information about the artificial intelligence. So this is about the present. I will take 10 more minutes to talk about the future. Yes, nano robot, medicine of the future. Of course, that this particular decade we are having this. We are having data science, AI, cloud computing. But in future, nano robots is going to make a big impact on the health sector. Now, what is robotics? You know about the robotics. Each one of you might have seen the movie Robots, or I think second movie Robo 3, where robotics. I'm not going into much detail. That this is the science of engineering, electronics, mechanics, and software. Nanorobots. What are nanorobots? Like as a pharmacist, we know that nanorobots means these are the robots having the size in nanometer. That 10 is to power 9 meter. That is the size of the nanorobot. And these nanorobots, they are able to perform the task on nanoscale dimensions. Now, what are the components of the nanorobots? The components of the nanorobots here, this is the structure of the nanorobot. Here having the camera, the payload. Here you can fill your drug. You can you can add your drug here, and of course here the swimming tail, so that whenever these nanorobots are flowing inside your body, they will be comfortable in swimming. And of course the capacitor, that capacitor is required for the energy purpose. So payload, then micro camera, electrodes, like of course whatever energy is required for the nanorobots, that energy can be the energy can be taken up from the cells only, sorry, from the blood only, and then those nanorobots can work by using the electrodes in the body. Lasers, where those lasers are useful, these lasers are useful for killing the cancerous cell, or maybe the arterial plaque, or maybe the blood clot. Again, the ultrasonic signal generators, they are useful for destroying the kidney stones, or maybe for the destroying the plaque. Swimming tail, as I already told you, that this is required for the propulsion of the nanorobots into the blood. This is the size of the nanorobots, or the pictures of the nanorobots, where these nanorobots, like you can see the RBC and the nanorobots. Now these nanorobots are given the different names on the basis of their size and the shapes: nanobots, nanoids, nanites, nanomachine, nanomites, nanospiders. So depending upon the size and shape, these nanorobots are can be categorized. You can see the different shape nanorobots here. Now, what are the advantages of nanorobots? Of course, the rapid elimination of the disease. So घंटों का काम your nanorobots will do in मिनटों में. The nanorobots might function at the atomic and molecular level to build the devices, machine or circuits known as the molecular manufacturing. These nanorobots, one more property they may be having of self-replication, like what we have seen in that movie Robot, where that Rajnikant, Mr. Rajnikant as a robot, having that ability to self-replicate. So I think that is another possibility. And the major advantage with this nanorobot is the durability. Like one nanorobot, you don't have to prepare again and again. One nanorobot may work for 10 years, 100 years, like that, or maybe decades or centuries. You don't know. However, there are some problems with the nanorobots. Of course, that nanorobot should be very accurate, otherwise harmful events may occur. Like if we are using the nanorobot for the cancerous cell, and if we are administering that nanorobots into the body, that nanorobot may chop the cancerous cell along with the natural body cells also. So that is very dangerous. Then initial design cost is very high because it is nano robot. You have to design the machine in nano size, which is a very complicated task. Hard to design, of course. The regulatory issues are there. The regulatory authorities will not easily accept this nano robot. However, there are medical applications of nanorobots. Because of the time constraint, I am moving fast. In drug delivery, they are useful in surgery, diagnosis and testing, gene therapy, cancer detection, diabetes, parasite removal, kidney stones, arteriosclerosis, breaking up of blood clots. Nanorobots in drug delivery. So here I am not going to tell anything, but this is one video I would like to show. And this is the scientist of the university at Israel. They have developed the nanorobot. So whatever I am talking, it is कुछ हवा में बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. It is the actual thing. The scientists are working on this nanorobot and would like to show you this one video. I hope this video will work.
This is lipid. We are starting from the bigger size as an example. Okay, so this is a small local capsule robot, which has a camera on board, wireless communication, and
it has a camera.
Yes, there's a very tiny camera in the blackboard. You see LED.
Where is the camera?
It's at the end.
So whatever nanorobot that scientist is showing, it is the prototype.
As you mentioned.
It is not the nano size, but it is the prototype.
this case, this capsule has magnets inside, and another external magnet can exert force on this capsule, and inside your body, this can be navigated. So it can roll inside your stomach, it can be stopped, it can go backward and forward as a robot.
Well, how would you put it in you?
So you swallow it. So it's a pill size.
Swallow it?
So yeah, this is completely wireless robot, as you see in the video. Also, it's made out of a soft material, so that it can deform, and it's very safe to use. As you mentioned, safety is our first rule about the design. And by rolling inside your stomach's tissue surface, the doctor can stop it, and then by controlling the external force, you can indeed eject a drug. Here you see this blue thing.
Oh wow! It made a little pee or something.
Exactly, and it can do this many times, and it can actively image your body so that you can see where you want exactly.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Let's see what's it again. But first of all, who is running? It looks like it's got a will. Like is it being driven by something?
You see that there's an external magnet that the doctor has full control of. And indeed, it's moving outside. Like you use a magnet outside your body, and it's moving the robot inside your body.
Oh, so there's a doctor outside of you with a magnet, and then it's this little thing wobbling, and so the doctor is moving.
Exactly. That's why it's safe, so that you don't have any,
Is
decision.
the doctor squeezing out that blue juice?
Yeah. So doctor says that that area has a disease, so that he or she decides to eject the drug at that point. And also, the same robot can do biopsy, so it can cut something.
Whoa! Wait a second. It's a 3-in-1. It can take pictures. It can leak, or whatever that is, pour, and it can cut.
Yes.
With what? What is it cutting with?
So the biopsy is a common procedure in GI tract, that you want a small piece of your tissue to decide if there's a disease or not. Because sometimes camera images are not sufficient, or wouldn't tell you the level of the disease. So doctor needs to take a piece of your tissue and do analysis afterwards, so that we need to pick up this capsule later and do some analysis, which is a little bit dirty.
Oh, wait a second. Does it like have a knife in its pocket, or like where is the cutting thing?
It's inside the middle, so it's very safely located, so it doesn't cause any damage. But as in the drug releasing case, when a doctor controls the force and presses this thing on purpose, the knife comes out and gets a small.
It's like a switchblade. So
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and so you then take a little bit of something and then bring it to the doctor.
Exactly.
How do you? I'm assuming that you bring it to the doctor in the old-fashioned way.
So this is the nanorobots for the drug delivery. Of course, the nanorobots can be used, similar nanorobots can be used in surgery. The nanorobots can use in heart surgery. So in case of surgery, simply you have to guide that robot how to like when it is entering into the body, you are the doctor is having the control from the outside. Wherever the defective tissues or defective organs are there, he will take care of that and he will perform the surgery. So nanorobots can be used in heart surgery. Nanorobots can be used in diagnosis and testing also. Nanorobots in gene replacement, there are so many videos, but due to time constraint, I won't be able to show you all those videos. Nanorobots in cancer treatment. Of course, I think this is one area where the nanorobots will be really helpful. And again, in one small video, this is not the video, but this is the actual news. It was there. This nanorobot is developed by the Korean scientists, South Korean scientists.
Scientists have developed nanorobots that can detect and treat cancer cells. The robot is a genetically modified bacterium only 20 microns in diameter. And by delivering drugs directly to the tumor, it attacks the cancer while leaving healthy cells alone, sparing the patient from the side effects of chemotherapy. The treatment is expected to be put into medical use in 5 years.
So this nanorobot is already there in the clinical trials, and this video is 3 years old. It is like we can expect after 2 years this nanorobot will be there in the market for the treatment of the cancer. These nano robots in the diabetes monitoring, very difficult for the diabetic patient to know about the blood sugar level. And in that case, if the nano robots injected into the body, and if that nano robots is giving the signal that when to administer the insulin, when it's like what is the level of your blood sugar. So I think nothing better like that. So this is one more thing, and here already the scientist, that is Adreno Cavalcanti and his colleagues, they have published their work using the nano robot for the, they have developed this nano robot for the blood sugar level monitoring. Nano robots in infection, of course, can be useful. Nano robots in kidney stones. So here those nano robots can destroy the kidney stone by using the ultrasound. The nanorobots can be useful in arteriosclerosis. They can enter into the blood vessels where that plaque is developed, and they can remove the plaque. So at the end, I just want to conclude that whatever I was talking about the nanorobots, at the end, it was in the nascent stage. Scientists are working on that, but this is a science, and anything can be possible. Even we never thought like we'll use the computer in our hand. We never thought about that. When I was in fourth standard, first time when I saw the electric bulb, electricity, I was very much excited to see that electricity. And today, like everywhere, we can see the technological changes. The technological changes are going to, they are bound to happen within just maybe like 20 to 25 years only. Lot of changes happen as far as the technology is concerned. When first time I saw television, Ramayana on the television, it was in the year 1989, first time, and it was on a black and white television. Today we have all the latest version of the television. After that, the black and white television, when we used to see the color TV, generally I think old people, they will agree with me, we used to have one screen, color screen, जिसमें राम ग्रीन कलर के दिखते थे, सीता रेड कलर की दिखती थी. But then over the period of time, then color TV entered into the market, and then now we have all LCDs and other sort of television. So technology, daily basis, that the technological changes are happening. The future as far as the healthcare industry is concerned, I'm damn sure it is the nanorobots, it is the AI, data science, blockchain, 3D printing, robotic surgery, VR. Of course, the technology may rule us, and these are the few references that I have used for the nanorobots and the other. This is very important slide that I just want to bring the attention of all the students, not only students, but again all the professionals who are attending this webinar, that this I got from the WhatsApp. Like in 2019 when drone camera came, the pilot as well as the cameraman both lost their job. So this is a simple message that you have to upgrade yourself, upgrade with the technology. Just 2 months before, on 16 March, like I was not knowing about all those Zoom app and other things. First time I used Zoom app. Today I am using maybe 7-8 app. For this lecture I am using the new app. So this is the technology, and you have to be with the technology only. Then only the survival will be there. So at the end of the lecture, I want to say thank you with again a very important slide. That in this slide you can see the robot, how the development of robot is there, and at the end, same robot is clicking the man who developed him. So message behind this slide is that you have to develop the robot, but at the same time you have to upgrade yourself in such a way that you can control that robot also. So with this, I'm going to end my presentation. So once again, I'm very much thankful to the organizer, Dr. Bothra sir, Dr. Amol, uh, Mrs. Amruta ma'am, Miss Trupti ma'am, Dr. Kokre sir, and Dr. Vandana Gawande for giving me an opportunity. And last but not least, I am very much thankful to the audience who they are not visible to me, but I hope they are attending my webinar. Thank you very much. So first time I missed that personal touch whenever giving the presentation, and अभी तक like it was like up to 1000 maybe 500 or 1000 I have given the seminar or lecture, but then I came to know that the crowd is beyond 2000, but then I can't see that. So thank you very much. आप जहाँ पे भी हो स्वस्थ रहो मस्त रहो, take care of yourself, your health, and as a health professional educate others to follow the rules and regulation as far as the government of India is concerned in this difficult situation of COVID. Now my battery is low, so I am stopping the presentation here.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. Now,
Madam, one request, my battery is very low. I told you that since last 4 years, 4 hours, the power is not there. So please ask those questions maybe next 2-3 minutes or at the max 5 minutes. Yeah.
yes. Hello, sir. Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hello, sir. Dr. Shashikant Mandari here. We had a very nice presentation.
Namaskar, sir. How are
Very
you?
useful. Yeah, we are all
Thank
are
you.
fine.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Can you throw some light on cost and affordability of these all latest treatment options, specifically with reference to Indian scenario? Cost that will be added
I am
to
not getting
treatment.
you.
All these advanced technologies.
Huh?
How
Of course, sir. Yeah. Of course, that
Got
cost
it?
is one criteria, but then technology, if you are using technology, of course, the cost may reduce. Whatever new technology available in the market, that may be very costly at the beginning, but maybe over the period of time, whenever there are new competitors were there in the market, it may be affordable. Like you can take the example of any technology. Like when mobile phone came to first time in the market, the cost was too high. Now even with 500 rupees, the people can afford even the smartphone with 1000 or 2000 rupees. Those smartphones are available. So similarly for all sort of technologies, I don't think that initially, of course, whenever the new technology will come, the
Okay, it will take
sorry.
time. Thank you.
Over to you, Amol, sir.
I think Pete sir is not on the line. Hello, Pete sir.
Yes, battery is down.
I think there is the issue of internet connection. We'll just wait.
I think his battery was down.
Yes.
Sorry, I got disconnected because of the
Yes.
power
Welcome,
failure.
Pete sir.
Yeah. But then I connected through mobile only, so maybe for question answer session. Okay.
Yeah. Am I audible, Pete sir? Hello,
Sir.
Pete sir.
Please
I'm audible to you.
question. I hope I have answered.
So
Sorry.
can I start my question?
Yeah, please, sir.
Please use your earphone. Please use your earphone.
Earphones. Okay.
Yeah, by which
Just
the
give me 1
clarity.
minute, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
So can I
Amol,
ask,
sir.
sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much,
And
Pethe sir, for sparing your valuable time and sharing this nice latest information. Thank you so much, sir.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, the good part of this presentation or lecture is in the chat box, everybody is asking presentation.
Oh,
They want a copy of presentation. So I have
okay, sir. I
committed
will.
them. I have
Hmm.
committed them. We will ask to Pethe sir. We will take his permission and possibly within next 15 days, we will send you this presentation.
Yeah, what I will do, sir, I will upload this presentation on SlideShare because already most of my presentations are there on SlideShare. So today only I will upload it.
Okay, sir. So there are approximate 55 questions,
Yeah, sir, you may ask now.
but it is not possible to ask 55 questions
Yeah.
because of time constraint. Still, I ask some few important questions which are asked by our audience.
Yes, sir, please.
There is a question asked by Mahapralay sir from
Okay,
Aurangabad
Paresh,
College.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So he is asking, can you explain application of artificial intelligence to pharma profession with a case study?
Okay, Paresh, sir, I will share all those case studies with you as far as the artificial intelligence in pharma is concerned. Like everywhere, the best. We can take one small example where we are using the defective tablet, like in the manufacturing process. Whenever the tablets are, we are segregating, or maybe the injectables where we are using the different evaluation tests, especially clarity, where human intervention is there. So instead of human, here if we are using the technology, that is the artificial intelligence, that will save the man hours, and it will be more perfect or more accurate compared to the human, because whenever human intervention is there, he is having some he may not be perfect. Like after over the period of time, maybe the fatigue may develop, and he may not be able to concentrate. But in that scenario, the artificial intelligence is helping us in a great way. So there are so many such examples as far as the artificial intelligence is concerned.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is another question from Shilpa Shotreya from
Yes.
Sinhagad College of Pharmacy, Pune.
Okay.
Her question is, sir, any company in India which is active in development of nanorobots for cancer treatment? So do you know about the name of the
As per
company? Yeah.
Yeah. As per best of my knowledge, in India there is no company who is working in the area of nanorobots. But at Hyderabad, one startup is there. They are working on this area, that is nanorobot.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So there is another question from Kishore Sagle.
Yeah.
Sir, can we will able to develop the novel route for insulin delivery in future by using any of these technologies mentioned by you?
Yeah. As I already mentioned that the nanorobots, that will be the fantastic technique as far as the diabetic patients are concerned. I think a lot of challenges are there when the diabetic patients are concerned. But obviously, like already I told you that one of the scientists, he has developed for only detecting the blood sugar level. But at the same time, if the insulin drug delivery can be routed through these nanorobots.
Okay, thank you, sir.
This
So there is again,
nanorobots, this is
yeah, please.
this is a very nascent technology, not it like no product is there in the market, but then definitely this technology might be there in the market, maybe after 20 years 30 years down the line. I can't say कि अभी आएगा 10 साल में आएगा, but then कभी ना कभी that nano robots will be there in the market, especially for the treatment of cancer and like maybe diabetes also.
Okay, thank you, sir. So there is again one question from Harita Desai.
Yeah.
It is about 3D printing.
Okay.
So I wish to inform all the participants
Yeah.
that on 13th of May, we
Hmm.
have arranged one lecture of Dr. Sheetal Dhambad.
Yeah.
He is the owner of 3D manufacturing plant in Pune. So I request all the participants, don't miss a single lecture in this webinar series. Now the question for Pethe sir from this by this participant is, how does 3D printing ensure accuracy of content and dosage uniformity?
Yeah, very good question, ma'am. Like it is very simple. Like even the US FDA, if they have approved this first product in 2015 only, it means that they have taken into consideration all those aspects, and then only they have approved the product. You know that US FDA will not approve any product कि कैसे भी हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है. They are like they are cross checking, and then only they are like giving the approval. So as far as I think this question is concerned, the 2015 only it got answered by the US FDA. Like as far as the 3D printing is concerned, it is whenever the ink will spread for the development of that product, that time the uniformity and other things, it is much better compared to your processes, the other processes. And even we tried at our engineering college at NMIMS, we are having the expert scientist as far as the 3D printing is concerned, and NMIMS has developed a excellent lab, the facilities for the 3D printing. So even I would like to attend that 3D printing seminar by
Yes, sir.
Sheetal Dhambad sir, who is my senior.
Yes, sir. So there are again so many questions. So can you please share your mobile number as well as email ID to all the participants by which they will mail you their questions?
Okay,
Some questions would be-
anilpete@gmail.com. It is very simple, like me only, sir. anilpete@gmail.com.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much once again for sparing your valuable time, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Amol. I hope that message and the delivery of the content, it was like okay, because it was not visible to me.
It was excellent, sir. I'll
Okay.
share one of the experience during this seminar. Initially,
And-
there were more than 1,000 of the participants.
Oh, great.
And at the end, the participants are increased. And that is what is the evidence of success of this lecture.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Once again, I am thankful to Bothra sir, you and your entire team for organizing such a wonderful webinar series and engaging all the pharma professionals during this emergency situation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Yeah.
Hello. Thank you, sir, for answering with the questions. I'm sure the deliberation and takeaway of the seminar was helpful for our participants. Sir, on behalf of Sihagarh Institute of Pharmacy, I express our deep and sincere gratitude of having spared your valuable time and shared your expertise. Thank you once again, sir. Sir, should we conclude with the session? Thank you, sir, once again. I declare that the session 1 is over. Hope to see you again in the afternoon for session 2. Good day, stay home, stay safe.